Hello everyone, welcome back. Hopefully y'all can hear me, but hello everyone, welcome back. Y'all saw it, I seen it. He literally became a ghost after I wanted to just upgrade how I do games. To do more, do some research here and there about live streaming, doing all sorts of stuff basically. Trying to get that good quality. But he's back from the last time. And these are the last two. I know what I said about these. I still remember. We're just gonna do what we can today because I promise you I got a splitting headache, but I wanna do something. Still feeling sorry for myself. Even though you were awake, the sun had barely peeked its head above the horizon, and the sky above was still dark. Though lightning by the minute. Okay. Usually you wouldn't be up so early, especially during summer vacation, but today was different. Today, instead of the lazy days you were used to, everything around you was a flurry of activity as both your family and Cole prepare for what lie ahead. Because parked in the street just outside your house was a massive RV camper, so big you couldn't even see Cole's house behind it. Dang, that must be some rich folk stuff. Your parents had rented the RV for a few days to take him on a short road trip to see the Redwood National Park. You glanced at Cole, who was standing nearby taking in the scene in front of him. The prospect of the trip had to be a mixed bag for him. But it was only 3 days, so it seemed he was dealing with it as best he could. Especially now that you and your family were joining him. You weren't sure how exactly it had happened. You knew your parents and Cole spoke to each other often, and somewhere along the way, plans were made after Cliff offered to share the space. The parents all thought it was a fantastic idea. You had already gotten a good look inside while helping to load everything in, and you had to admit that while it was a really big car, RV. Fitting that many people inside was going to be snug.
Let's go.
Move it or lose it, kiddo. Mom bustled past with a cooler in one hand and a large bottle of water under the other. She was upbeat for this early in the morning. Yo, she's snug. Ain't no way. You trying to go back to sleep. That is not where. Ma, however, seems to be on the other side of the wavelength. She followed behind her wife, dragging her feet on every step. Yep. I'm going to need a whole jug of coffee once we hit the road. That's why I said she snug. She did not plan. She planned, but she did not plan to be up that early and drink some water. Don't y'all forget to drink water. I've literally been pushing this while at work. Cause the heat's getting crazy. Whether y'all know it or not. I'll push it as hard as we can go because I really did not know this much that now all of the drinking water. Well, I know about alcoholics though. You gotta try hard with them. Coffee lover, not bad. There's water in it, but it's not enough. Okay, choices. You could relate to Ma. It was way too early. Yeah, cause I've been there before. Personally, you were rearing, whatever, to go as your mom. You felt like you were a middle ground between the two? Nah, too early. You yawned and rubbed at your eyes, still sleepy from the early morning wake-up call. The air outside was still damp from dew, and that helped make you a bit more alert. And then, at the end of the chain, came your sister. She had a bone to pick before the trip officially started. Her rattling off critics added some level of normalcy to everything new going on. I don't get why I can't sleep in the bed tonight. Teresa is the youngest, and I'll never fall asleep in that loaf. We're trying to make things fair on everyone. If you want to play the older card, you should be offering to take the loaf both nights. It's important for big siblings to make sacrifices for the younger ones. You better carry that on with somebody else. As time go on, that will not forever be a thing. Because then you will make it seem like the youngest one are spoiled, and they will never listen to the oldest one or you anymore at some point. But it's a good thing our character is not spoiled. Now, isn't that right? True, I ain't gonna lie. If they had a couch in there, I'll take that and she get the bed. Elizabeth huffed, not happy with the answer in the slightest, and folded her arms, leaning back against the side of the RV. The trip plans had been nailed down prior, the sleeping arrangements included. Elizabeth still held on to her objections with them. There was a main area of the RV with a couch. Couch. Loaf and some floor space. At the end of the car was a room with a large bed. Your moms were sharing the bed. Kyra was on the couch and somebody's dad and son intended to sleep on the floor. The adults determined you and Elizabeth would switch between the small loaf above the driver's seat and sharing the bed with moms. Option. You were fine with the arrangements. You were excited to sleep in a loaf. You felt sharing a bed with your parents were gonna be awkward. You were looking forward to a sleepover with your mom. You weren't too happy either, but didn't want to make a fuss. You thought it was unfair that Cove had to sleep on the floor. I'm not doing that again. I remember all the times where I said, I'm not going to do those choices where I'll sacrifice for Cove. No. Because if that's the case, where the heck is he going to go if I sleep on the floor? And yes, I said, I finally accepted that if I'm going to play a character, I got to feel immersed. Thanks to whichever game that was that helped me with it. It's like, what the heck? But anyway, the choices of this game. Let's just say we was excited because at the end of the day, it's like growing up. I didn't have a lot of adventures at all. I said it too many times and I said I'll leave it alone, but here I am bringing it back up in this game. Oop, welcome back. It would be a new experience for you and sound kind of cool. Okay, I'm just gonna stop the recording for a little bit. I need to check something. I'm back. Didn't take long. I just wanted to make sure I can hear myself. Alright, you lot. Does everyone have everything they need? I need about 10 sandwiches. About 5 of those need to be a bologna sandwich with one layer of meat and 1 layer of cheese with mayo on it. I need at least... No, that's it. I want 10 ham and cheese sandwiches. Thank you. With mayo on it. And my drink choice, that would be to be sweet tea or it'll be soda. Preferably root beer and Faygo, but if those are not the options, then I'll take water because water is important, especially that trip from Florida. Oh my gosh. And for snacks, no cookies please, because that's too early. Nothing sweet, that's too early. I'll take some chips. I'll take some Sunny chips. I'll take some wheat thins. What is it? Um, the salsa ones, those were delicious. I'll take those, please. Thank you. We're heading out in 5 minutes. Now's the time to double check. You don't want to forget something important like my MP3 player that I wish I got back when I was in middle school. I had no idea how I lost it, but I have a good idea that I had too many tissues in my pocket because they did not put tissues in those bathrooms, and that's how I lost my MP3 player. My pocket was full of tissue. I didn't think to take some out to make room for my MP3 player. Unsupervised, that's how it was. What else? We never had a Game Boy, but I was sure heck would like to experience it. My classmate had some cool ones, and I never envied them for it. It was just something to see because I never see it at home. What else? Coloring books, at the end of the day, or word search. It did not help me get smarter. It just helped me look for things, I guess, thoroughly or intensively. But there were many times I did not pay attention. It's not that I didn't pay attention. It's my mind does not work as much as I thought it did to look for just straight words or wiggly words or curved words. It just look for O's. How many O's is in here? Okay, follow those O's, see how it goes. And that's just how it is. Yeah, I think I'm pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. At the world, Elizabeth yelped and dashed back into the house. Her bedhead hair bouncing behind her as she went. Mom came over and gave you a smile, setting her hands on her hips. How about you, Miss Teresa? Do you have all your clothes packed? Ah, shoot, I didn't think about clothes. But hey, it's a 3-day trip. Toiletry, deodorant, floss, anything else you can think of? Actually, that's pretty good. When we first went on a trip, none of that was thought of. Let me look at the options. You were confident you had it all. You weren't sure about that. Oh, you had to rush back inside for something. You just gave her a flat look. That flat look would have helped a lot. And just say we're gonna find something. Sprinting up the stairs to the bathroom, you grab your toothbrush from behind the sink before heading back down. That's it. You are glad you were reminded to grab it after having left it out to use this morning. It would have been embarrassing if you couldn't brush your teeth for the next few days. Now that I have experienced this, not brushing your teeth so long, again, it's not that the poor situation is in effect. It's not as it used to be. I just can't seem to get myself to brush my teeth. Horrendous, I know. That's why I try and avoid people. Then I smell my breath when I take my mask off. I'm like, ugh! And yeah, I still wear my mask because I can't trust people. They cough everywhere in work. Not to mention the place where I work, a whole lot of sickness stay there because it just happens. Anyway, I will get back into doing it. It's just crazy how it may still be a little bit of depression because there's so much I want to do and there's a lot of things that just need motivation or a push, and I still haven't got those. But now it's no longer an excuse because I can think about them and I could do them. So just doing what I'm doing now, making this video for y'all because I really do want to do this. I really do. No matter if I'm feeling I'm about to lose a leg at work or lose my mind because I can't keep up with certain things that is out of my control, and I never wanted to be over something so big, let's be honest. So we're just gonna take that with a grain of salt and just keep it moving. Yeah. But yeah, the teeth part, yeah. I had no idea yuck mouth was so bad, but I guess because I haven't vomited in so long to want to brush my teeth, that's probably the reason. I'll get back to it. Your mom was still there, waiting for a knowing expression as you walked out again. Got everything now, Miss Teresa? Yeah. With a few minutes left to spare before leaving, you mentally went over what you had packed for the trip. clothes, a pillow, a blanket, usually day-to-day gear to most people. You also had more personal things such as options. There's the infantry player. Okay, hold up. A portable gaming console. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Pencils and paper. Oh my gosh. Pencils and paper. Your favorite stuffed animal? No. A couple of things to read. Yeah, I wish I had that. A bag of. Heck no. Who the heck bringing that crap? Ew. Makeup. I know. Makeup crap. A ball. I guess. What type of ball? There's soccer ball, there's football, there's basketball, your camera. Yeah, I would like to have had a camera. Yeah. An MP3 player with headphones. Yeah. A pajama shirt code gave you. Dang, can I pick 4? I see the 1-to-1. I'm just gonna pick the MP3 player first because that's the one I wish I had brought or had for the longest time. With so much time going to be spent driving in a car, you wanted to make sure you'd be able to have some music to put on. Yep. A portable gaming console, because I wish I had one. Drive to the Redwood National Park would take an entire day one way, so you wanted to make sure you had a way to entertain yourself while traveling there and back. Alright. Yeah, like I said, 4 options, which is pretty cool. I'm gonna say for pencils and paper now because that's, like I said, puzzles. You had to be prepared in case you saw something to sketch at the park, or if you had to write something down, or if you need to pass time just doodling. Yep. Let's see. Then I thought about it. When I read, it's literally an all-day thing until I'm like in 5 chapters. After just reading the first introduction. You had packed one of your old favorites, knowing we're gonna have so much fun I'm not gonna even remember to just read, and new ones you never tried before. You knew you'd have plenty of time for them both on such a long drive. Yep. Okay. I'm just gonna say, camera, I'm gonna still choose camera. If I had just a little pocket camera, it was just a little pocket camera you had gotten from your mom's, but you couldn't miss the opportunity to take some new snaps. Now I'm gonna say the pajama shirt code gave us. You want to have something comfortable and special to wear on a trip like this, and you wanted Cole to know you were still using it. Oh, that's it. Hey, let me take that for you, Matrisa. I'll stow it in the RV. There's a few spots left. It'll fit. You let Kyra take your bag and gave her a grateful smile. With nothing left to do, you watched the others getting ready for the trip. Kyra and Cliff seemed to have the most energy of anyone. They were finishing packing the suitcase away while your moms had gone to lock up the house. They high-fived whenever another one got crammed into the storage compartment of the vehicle. So overpacking, pretty much. Even though your own parents were more low-key than Cole's, you could tell they were both excited for the trip. It had been a while since your family had been away anywhere together. Elizabeth skipped towards the RV, a bag slung over her shoulder, and you were surprised to see she seemed more optimistic about the ordeal now. Usually she wasn't one to exit the confinement of her room, unless it was for TV or food or to leave her family behind to be with friends. You would have thought 3 whole days packing. You would have thought 3 whole days packed in an RV with 6 others would be too much for her. But it was a nice surprise. You suppose any vacation was better than no vacation in her mind. I'm on board with her with that one. Claude had been pretty quiet so far, and more than anything seemed to be overwhelmed by the situation. Options. You were excited for the trip too. You weren't very excited for the trip either. Now that would go against all I just said. So no. You were eager to get to the destination. You were curious about the RV. You didn't feel much either way about the plans. Oh gosh. Anyway, we're gonna say I'm curious about the RV. It's always interesting. What are we gonna be traveling in? Now, if you told me we had to travel by plane, I would have thought you were crazy because what? No, like, and it's right in the backyard. No, wait, what? Anyway. Oh, I didn't know people could. That was a whole community. You had to fill up a plane to go somewhere, which is interesting. I didn't know that. You never stayed overnight in one before and wanted to know what it'd be like. Soon, the miscellaneous remaining tasks had all been wrapped up. And alright, everyone piled into the RV. It was officially time for the trip to start. And it did. Cliff took the first shift driving. He cautiously navigated the massive car of the narrow neighborhood streets. It was touch and go for the first part of the journey. Your moms and Kyra were all huddled at the front, trying to get a view of how much space they had on each other. A lot of space, not a lot of space. There was a sense of relief when the first long leg of the trip was hit, and the RV would only need to go down one stretch of highway for miles. The mom group cleared out of the driver's area, leaving Cole's dad to it, taking more comfortable seats around the main cabin. You felt like you could finally relax now too. Time slipped by as morning faded away. Before you realized it, the engine of the RV came to a stop, but only halted for a few moments as Cliff climbed out from the driver's seat and Mom took over. Ma was sitting shotgun, giving Mom a quick tutorial on the controls as it was her first time driving anything this large. Cliff groaned as he headed towards the rest of you, stretching his arms above his head and loosening up his muscles. We're making good progress. Yeah, maybe you should take a nap in the back for a while. That was a long haul you just did, and I know you're on less sleep than usual. Cliff waved a hand that trademark grin of his slipping into place. I don't need sleep. I've still got a few miles in the old tank. Yeah, and then we find out you fell asleep. All we gotta do is hear the snore. He flexed an arm, showing off his muscles to drive the point out. What the heck, wait? He flexed an arm, showing off his muscles to drive the point about how resilient he was home. And Kyra rolled her eyes in amusement. Dad, everybody has to sleep. Cole groaned at the tough guy's act, though Cliff simply chuckled and ruffled his son's hair.
So?
Are you going to be driving again anytime soon, Mr. Halden? I want to know so I can prepare. Did anyone pack some rope? I might need it. There's no seat belts up here. Seriously. Oh, he drove crazy. A little bit. Elizabeth called down from where she was lounging in the loaf above the driving compartment. She was laying on her back, her hair filling out the sides and sweeping around as the RV started up again and took off down the road. Am I saying there's a sleeping compartment up there? Yo, that'd be crazy if it was. A bag of potato chips was balanced on Elizabeth's stomach, and she tossed a couple in her mouth right as Cliff held a hand to his chest. Pretending to be offended by the remark, Kara laughed lightly hearted.
Don't worry about that.
Lucky for all of us, we have enough adults to cover the shift today. He won't be driving again until tomorrow. Alright, option. You stayed quiet. You shook your head at the ribbing. Phew, that's a relief. Just enough time to write up my last will and testimony. Oh my gosh. We shouldn't gang up on the poor guy. It's not his driving I'm worried about. Ooh. Is that the remark for Mom? So first of all, Ma is right next to her, so it's okay. But since everybody's playing lightly, oh my gosh, I'm going to choose will and testimony. Not you two. The rest of the group laughed while Cliff pouted and gave him an apologetic shrug. And there's Mom. Mom then shouted back in her seat to join the conversation, a playful smile tinting her lips. What I'm more worried about is the old monster getting us there and back again before falling apart. It looks as though it was built in the early 90s. It must be older than some of the occupants. Ooh. That's just as the aesthetic of the decor is not that old, I think. Did you ask what year the model was before you rented it? Kyra wrinkled her nose in the thought. No, she did not. Yes, I did. I just can't remember what the answer was. Cliff chuckled at her, while the rest of you let out a collective sigh. The RV lurched a little as it picked up speed, and you held onto the ladder to the loaf to keep your balance. You felt something gray at the top of your head before a weight settled on your black hair. When you tilted your chin up carefully to look, you heard the rustling of the bag of chips and realized Elizabeth had rested the end of it on your head. Really? She gestured to the opening, slightly offering to share her snack. You took a handful, you refused to offer. Nope, we taking a handful. Reaching up and you scooped up some chips. After that, the weight of the packet left your skull. Like, oh well, that's a different sibling. That's a different way of asking if you want some as a sibling. Actually, no, that's pretty cool. That is a sleeping corner. Dang. You went to work. And I'm recording. You happily munched away as the conversation continued on and you got closer and closer to your destination. The day flew by with the group of you, chatting, playing games, and passing the time together before finally arriving at the park and settling up for the night. Ma was closing the window while everyone got ready for bed, saying good night to the other as she made her way to the back room. You all had dinner together while still driving, and some hours after had arrived at your destination and found a spot to park in the rest of your way. Giving a look across the front of the RV, you noticed almost everyone there was already dozing off where they were, with Cove having completely fallen asleep, curling up in the passenger seat. He must have done so while Kyra was driving the last leg, and they had decided not to disturb him. Kyra herself was the only one up there who was still awake, flipping through a magazine next to a portable light from her spot on the couch. It seemed Mr. Holden needed to sleep despite his claim. Told you. You followed your moms into the back room and closed the door behind you before crawling onto the bed between them. Give me. Oh, sorry for y'all. It was a queen-size bed, not big enough, so there was enough space for the three of you together without too much squishing. Bye.
Good night.
Get a good rest, Emma Teresa. We got a big day ahead of us tomorrow.
That's fantastic.
I'm looking forward to the bushwalking in the morning. It's been a long time since I was out in nature like this. There will be plenty for us to see. You stayed awake for a little while longer while your moms whispered about the park and forest in general. With the sounds of their voices in the background, eventually you nodded off to sleep. Nice. The next morning you were up bright and early, prepared for the day ahead. Option: you had slept well, you had an okay sleep, you had slept terribly. Slept well. It was a bed at least for her. You fell asleep before you knew it and had woken up rested. Mom whined a bit about the firmness of the mattress, but Mom had only encouraged her to enjoy the trip while she could. While looking for a spot to get ready, you had some trouble finding space of your own as the others were doing the same thing. Cole was perched up on top of the counter, god dang, brushing his hair and tucking up his leg every time everyone wanted to move past. The parents were double checking and triple checking that you had everything on the point where we had everything to the point where you had stopped listening to them altogether. You knew you wouldn't be returning to the RV all that day, but by the look of the backpacks that were packed up and ready to go, you doubted anything was missing from them. Trees! Attack on Titan? No. It didn't take much longer until you all exited the RV in a bustle and headed into the Redwood National Park.
Wow.
Hey, we finally got to see the outfit. Wow. Cole had his head tilted up towards the canopy of trees. His eyes widened as he took in the massive trunks on either side of you. You knew that the redwood trees were considered the tallest trees on Earth, but you weren't prepared for exactly how huge they would be in person.
Come on.
They're like dinosaur eras. Smile, you two! You spun just in time for Kara to snap a picture of you and Cole together, before she pointed her camera at Cliff, trying to get a shot despite his weak protest that she should just enjoy the moment. Your parents were walking behind the group a little, with mom telling Ma some information she had read about the park in a brochure. Ma listened happily while looking around and taking in the sights, every now and then asking a question or making a joke about something Mom had said. He smiled at them, thinking your mom must have read a lot of pamphlets to know so much about the park. Maybe you would come and work here as a tour guide if you know so much about the place. Elizabeth teased, earning a squeeze on the nose from your mom. She seemed to be enjoying herself, but you thought that might just be because she was amused by everyone else's reaction. Option. You were in awe of the redwood tree. You were fascinated by the sensations around you. Oh my god. Oh, this yarning. Because it's cold. You were in a good mood. You weren't as impressed as the others. You were embarrassed that the adults were being so touristy. Now I was in a good mood. The air was fresh and clean, and it was nice to be outside with the people you love most. You were certain that this was only the beginning of what would be a great day. The adults had decided on some casual nature walk rather than any serious hiking, and you strolled along at your own pace, taking in the scenery. Elizabeth sped up a little, smirking at Cole as she fell into place between the two of you. And immediately you could tell by her expression she was gonna say something taunting. I can't believe our families are actually on vacation together. Girl, what you up to? She threw her arms out, speaking with a gesture sense of bewilderment. I would have joked about something like this happening, but now I'm not sure I want to give them any more ideas. Cove ignored her completely and continued walking along. Just watch. Next year, we'll be talking about their next new amazing idea. She put on a fake voice deeper than her own. We should just sell both our houses and move in together. Think of how much we've saved on the mortgage. It was clear that Elizabeth was being sarcastic. Cole simply shook his head, not really bothered by her. You suppose he was used to it by this point. But seriously, they really do act like we're a single family just because we live across the street from each other. Elizabeth gave you and Cole a look, her eyes glinting with mischievous as she leered at you.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we will be related, legally anyway. She said it as though she was a gossip old lady. Maybe. I guess you and me could get married, Elizabeth.
What?
What? Me? Yeah. That way, Teresa would be my sister-in-law. That would be fun. Elizabeth stuck her tongue out at Cole as if the very idea were ridiculous. Hey, you gonna start playing? Everybody else gonna start playing. Option. You told her to cut it out already. Cole has a point. It wasn't a great comment. I'll marry you, Cole. You ignored Elizabeth. You were embarrassed. I mean, it's not a lie with that middle one. Say I'll marry him. We must unite our family tie to increase our pull in the community. A political marriage? It might be alright with you. It might. Hold on, let me make sure I read that correctly. A political marriage? it might be alright with you, then it's in agreement. Okay. Elizabeth poked out her tongue at the both of you, giving you a sour look. Oh well, you started. She walked ahead, obviously not getting the response she was looking for, and you and Cole swap amused looks. The day continued on with plenty to see and experience. You passed a few different activities that you would have likely. Okay, let me refresh that. You passed a few different activities that you would have liked to try out, and if you had the time, such as kayaking and rock climbing. But Ma said that we have to wait for another trip because there's a limit on that RV. There was a little stream during the walk. That you sat beside and set out a picnic for lunch, nibbling on a selection of fruit, sandwiches, and chips. I didn't think of fruit though, I ain't gonna lie. Various birds flew by overhead, and you made a game out of guessing the species that were hanging out in the trees nearby. You even managed to get out a couple of them. You managed to get a couple of them right, including the kingfisher that grabbed half a Cliff sandwich. Dang. Options. You were glad you got to do this in the end. You were disappointed to only have one day in the park. You thought the long trip wasn't worth only one day here. You had more fun hanging out in the RV. You hadn't had a good time with the trip. Now, why would that be a thing after I literally showed? I mean, I guess that says a lot about people who do pretend. But no, I had fun. But it is unfair. It is. So what's the next day supposed to be like? Or was it the first day was just driving? Second one was still halfway there, and then the third one was finally there. That's sad. So I'm gonna say I thought the long trip wasn't worth only one day here. What you saw today was only a fraction of what the park offered, and you wonder why Cole's parents hadn't planned a long trip. You sighed quietly to yourself, wondering if you'll get the chance to come back. Your group made it back to the camp just as the sun was setting in the sky, and the stars were appearing one by one. Everyone had enjoyed different parts of it most. Okay, I need to slow down. Everyone had enjoyed different parts of it most. Me mostly? You traded stories of what you thought while you were eating dinner. Then afterwards, you pitched in to help clean up. You, along with Elizabeth and Cole, got to head back to the RV early and spend some time together while the parents stayed outside longer. It was nice to have the space to yourself after the cramped journey there. And while Elizabeth had locked herself in the back room with her headphones, you and Cole were left in the main lounge area. Options. You headed up to the loft to relax on your own. You hung out with Cole. We might as well get comfortable. Who knows how long they'll be out for. Pretty close, huh? You took a seat on the sofa while Cole sat down on the other end, tapping his fingers against his knees. You know, I hardly ever see you wearing a jacket, especially in summer. Oh yeah, I like wearing as few layers as possible. It's easier that way. I'd rather be cold than extra hot. Ooh. I mean, that's polar opposite situations and problems. A typical boundary, a typical barrier to get over with. And it's kind of a pain to carry extra clothes around. My parents made me bring this jacket. Option. I'm the same way. I don't mind either way. I love wearing layers. I love layers and accessories too. No, I do not. The only accessories I would accept is my headphones. Yeah, headphones. Let's see. We are not the same way. That's a lie. I prefer wearing in the sense of I am casual and I can walk around without burning up so quick or catching cold quickly. So I'm right there, but I do enjoy a good humid but not mucky day. We're gonna say I don't mind either way, but I don't want to freeze. I just dress depending on the weather day, yo, or how I'm feeling about the time. Cole smiled slightly at you and nodded. I've noticed. Options. You change the subject. You ask him what he'd like to see others wear. I guess to get a insight of that's a dumb thing for me to want to have to ask somebody, like, would you prefer me wearing a skirt or some pants? Like, that's stupid. That's looking for validation. But I'll pick this last one just to see, because changing the subject is very easy. It really is. If you're the type of person that likes to change the subject every 1 minute, so 30 seconds, no saying. Hey, what kind of things do you think are nice to see on another person? Man's eye got wide. Cole's eyes widened at the question, and his defensive reply seemed to slip outside before he had the chance to have a proper before he had to properly think about it. Nothing. Nothing. She didn't think much of that anyway. Option. That was funny. You paid it, no mind. Yeah. You laughed out loud and Cole gave you a dry look. Come on, that's not what I meant. Gotta be clear. You composed yourself and sat up straight, all traces of laughter disappearing from your face. Answer with what you do meaning. Answer with what you do meaning. Isn't there anything at all you think looks good when you see it on someone? Cole mumbled under his breath, and you couldn't quite catch the words. He was having a difficult time with the subject. Options. It was a topic that made him uncomfortable, so you let it go. You had a little fun, and that was enough. You changed the subject. You're not very good at these conversations, are you? I swear I won't make fun of you. I just thought it would be fun to talk about it. Option. It was a topic that made him uncomfortable, so you let it go. You made a little fun, and that was enough. You changed the subject. You're not very good at these conversations, are you? I swear I won't make fun of you. I just thought it would be fun to talk about. Honestly, we're gonna say I swear I won't make fun of you. You still don't want to, but still. That's not really it. Cole seems pretty grumpy about your statement, but you weren't ready to give up so easily. Please? Cole sighed and looked down at his lap where he was fidgeting with his hands, still reluctant to give an answer.
I don't know.
That's good enough. You made an unimpressed sound over how this was going. Are you sure? Maybe. I don't know why you want to talk about that with somebody else. Button rewind. I don't know why you want to talk about that with somebody else. I mean, you don't know why she want to talk to somebody else with that besides you, I guess. Cole was never one to gab on about himself, and you're almost convinced he'd stubbornly hold on. But then his shoulders slumped and he gave in to your questioning. Fine, I guess. I kind of like ankle bracelets. Ankle bracelets. Yeah, everyone can wear a pretty bracelet. Wrist ones are cool too, but they're pretty normal. There's something fun or flirty about ankle bracelets.
I mean,
It's more special or something. I don't know how to explain it. Cole brushed his knuckles against his cheek awkwardly, seemingly unsure where to go from there. Well, that's good enough. Option. Same for answering. I like them too. Huh. Out of everything in the world, you picked that. So you think they're sexy. If I don't like dance, I'll just rewind. So you think they're sexy. What? No. I can't believe you even used that word to describe it. Coles had been absolutely scandalized by your statement, and you could only laugh. When he said nothing else, you took a moment to gather your own thoughts. Option. You had to get an ankle on ASAP. An anklet on ASAP? No. Maybe you wear your anklet more now? No. Maybe you wouldn't wear your ankles so often. You thought about buying an anklet of your own. You were happy to hear more about Cole, but it didn't really change anything. No, it didn't. Cole's opinion hadn't had an impact on your own thoughts on the accessory. Good. Cole looked away again, feeling awkward about this. You gave him an understanding look, and soon enough he was smiling like no Morgan. Well, now you have to answer too. What do you like for another person? Option. Muscles, pretty hair, glasses, blue eyes. That's pretty much describing everything about him, isn't it? Off the bat, some would say face, but then it comes with more than just face. The eyes, the eyebrows, the nose, the mouth, the lip, the cheeks, the texture, and all that stuff. So, these are pretty basic. Like, actually, none of these actually interest me. But it's great to have some things to make a person look different, I guess. Blue eyes, not really. Let me be straight honest. I don't really care. It's only intense blue that lets me know they're serious and intelligent. That's good enough. Everything else, nah. Glasses, they're for seeing, so what? Pretty hair, describe that. In a style, with natural, laying down, pent up what? Muscles, I guess, because at some point, let's be honest, you need muscles to function. That's what I didn't understand why muscles were attached to bones, but here we are. Cole chuckled as though you had said something highly amusing. Good luck, I hope you find someone. With that, the topic abruptly dropped off. Cove officially had no more to say on it. The parents all arrived soon after, each of them climbing into the RV and finding some place to sit down and rest their legs. What were they running? Elizabeth, having heard the commotion, came out from the room for the first time since arriving and joining you all. You spent the evening chatting and playing a few games, enjoying the last evening of the trip together. Bedtime arrived within the blink of an eye as the group hunkered down for the night. Your mom did a final round to be sure nothing had been left behind. She explained that Cliff was going to start driving early in the morning, like on the first day, but would be letting everyone else in the group sleep. There wouldn't be a need for all of them to get up. Now was the time to check that to make sure you hadn't left anything outside. You, as well as everyone else, were confident you had it all packed up inside the RV, which meant it was time to get some rest before the journey home tomorrow. Your mom and Elizabeth said goodnight, heading to the back room while you climb up to the loft. Up here. Cool. Cove and his family got situated below in a previously set arrangement. You tried to get comfortable as a million thoughts were running through your mind. It was hard to believe that the trip was practically over, and before you knew it, you'd be back in your own bed at home. Option. You enjoyed this mini adventure. You thought the trip had been okay. You felt the trip was a waste of time. You hadn't had a good time. It was enjoyable. It was short, that was for sure. But you got to see and do so much during your time here. All in all, it was a nice break away from home. The minutes ticked by silently. It didn't take long for the sophomores of Cliff and Kyra to drift up to you. They were asleep. They were already asleep, whatever. You wondered if Cole was still awake and decided to poke your head out from the loft to find out. You blinked through the dark. Looking down the hall, you noticed Cole laying on his back, his eyes staring straight up at the ceiling. His seafoam hair was spread out on his sleeping bag. He must have felt you watching him, because suddenly his eyes locked on yours. It was difficult to see much in the dim light, but you could make out the crooked smile on his face well enough. Option. You grinned back at him. He made a silly face. You waved at him. He made a silly face. Cole rolled his eyes at you, or at least you thought he did. Option. You didn't gesture for him to come over. You then went back to trying to go to sleep. You then decided to have fun quietly. Because no, I ain't meant to do that. If he moves, everybody wakes up. So no. You know what? Again, if I don't like it, I'll just go back. It's not a final destination thing. But I do anticipate an answer. Cole looked unsure about it, but you were happy to see him slowly start to sit up anyway. His sleeping bag rustled as he moved, though he tried to go slow and froze like a deer in headlights every time he made a sound. Watching his parents for any signs of movement. Eventually, he managed to maneuver around his sleeping dad and make it to the ladder, standing on the bottom rung where he looked up at you and whispered. He opened his mouth to speak before it shut closed for another second. Is that my shirt? Uh-huh. I used it a lot. That's cool. Then Cole shook his head to refocus. Why did you call me? Options. Oh, it was nothing. Good night. How are you doing? You invited him up to the loaf. These two is a continuation. Thought to say goodnight, but could have just said goodnight, like, probably without saying anything. Then this one, it was nothing. That was like a waste of time. But it does make sense, like, how is he doing? That he was woke. Cole shook his head in disbelief, but you could see the hint of a smile peeking out. Good night, amateur, he said. He turned right around and crept back to his spot on the floor. Now, because that was cute, I'm not gonna read the rest. I'm gonna rewind. This seems scandalous, but it's not. It's innocent. I'm ready for him to just walk back. Do you want to come up? His eye widened just so you could only tell because he had come to where you were. Cole glanced behind him quickly at his sleeping parents before turning back to you. Okay. Innocent. Ain't nothing they can do anyway. I read a book. You broke out into a grin and scooched back as far as you could, making space for Cole to crawl in. He was very tall. Like, really tall. So it wasn't a great fit for him, but he managed to squeeze himself in. Even if you weren't exactly tall, the loaf was still a tight squeeze with the two of you in there together. You lay down next to each other on your side, face to face. He got under the blanket a bit. Actually, now I'm seeing it, dude, he is huge. So all he had to do was wake up and bump. That's not nice, but oh well. One of his arms was nestled under his head for comfort. The other had nowhere to go and was rested alongside his chest on the floor of the loaf. Cole spoke to you softly. What am I doing here? Good question. Option, I don't know, that's rude. I thought we could hang out. You can sleep here instead of on the floor. So are we switching? Cause if so, she's gonna do some ninja stuff that she did. Yeah. Cole raised an eyebrow, not having expected you to bring that up now. It isn't a big deal for us to both be in the loaf, right? Yeah, we always share. I like that. Usually they're also happy about it. Cole gestured in the direction of the parents, and you nodded in agreement. They had always tried to put you and Cole together ever since you were little. I wonder how much trouble we'll be in if we get caught. It wouldn't be nearly as much as we would have been in if my mom found out you snuck into my room for the night at the start of summer. He winced just imagining it. I still can't believe I did that and didn't get caught. Dude, you got ninja instincts. You ain't gonna get caught. It was a very dramatic moment. A very dramatic morning. You could easily picture his frantic escape in your mind's eye. You're kind of a troublemaker, aren't you, Cole? No, I don't think so. Cole trailed off, and he seemed to be lost in his own thoughts. Hey, do you remember the very first time I slept over at your house? He laughed quietly and nodded, the memory coming back to mind so vividly. A smile grew on his face. I hate being in a different place back then and wanted to leave. You had to sleep on the floor next to me so I feel better. He huffed a small laugh at the memory. We were such kids. Why didn't we share your bed if the plan was to sleep in the same spot anyway? I was trying to do the best I could. The sleeping bag was your sleeping place, and I just thought I needed to go sleep where you were. You didn't give him a lot of time to think. You were trying to run out the door alone. Oh, you didn't give me a lot of time to think. You were trying to run out of the door alone. Cole laughed quietly again, stiffening the sounds with his hand. His shoulders shook as he tries hard not to let it
Sorry.
through. I'm sorry I was like that. I just I couldn't take any more changes when I was little. Option. You encourage him. You comfort him. You tease him. Comfort. You don't have to apologize. That wasn't your fault. He smiled at Cole, showing that it wasn't a problem, and he gracefully returned with one on his own. You spent the rest of the night smushed up in the little loaf together, whispering about your past memories and trying not to giggle too loud at the silly things you had gotten up to together over the years. Eventually, the chatting trailed off, and when you noticed Cole had drifted off to sleep, you followed soon after. When you woke up the next morning, it was the rumble of the RV as it traveled the long journey home. You noticed quickly that you weren't as warm as you had been during the night, and when you checked next to you, Cole was gone. Blinking sleepily, you peeked over the edge of the loaf to find out where he had gone. Maybe he had snuck back into his spot on the floor during the night. However, you soon noticed him sitting on the couch talking quietly with his mom. His head hung in embarrassment. Your movement gave you away, and Kyra suddenly looked up and caught your eye. She simply smiled amusedly at you, and it was obvious what happened. Cole hadn't gotten away with it. They found him there in the loaf, and then you woke up while he was trying to explain. You knew it was gonna be a long time before you lived this one down. If you ever did. Soon your mom and Elizabeth emerged from their room, dressed and ready for the day of travel. You spent most of the day hanging out together in the RV, savoring the last few hours of vacation. Kyra suggests a few different travel games she used to play with Cole when he was younger, and you all had a great time competing against each other. A little later in the day, you tried to talk to Cole about what happened in the loaf, but he simply apologized and changed the subject. It was a bit too much for him trying to speak on. We couldn't even change that. I got a headache. It was a bit too much for him to try speaking on, especially right now. You understood. When the RV finally pulled onto your street, it was well into the night, and you were looking forward to crawling into your own bed after the last few days away. Everyone else must have been feeling the same, because it was mutually agreed that unpacking and cleaning the RV would wait until morning. Once home again, you went straight up to your room and dropped onto your bed, shoes and all. That tired. Better do like how we do. As soon as you know your foot's still hanging, just start taking them off. If they're flip-flops, they'll slide off. But if they're like the snap-on or the knot ones, you better just wiggle. Ain't got the time. Option. You were happy to be in your own bed. It felt weird to be alone. It felt good to be alone. You wish you were still on the trip. You miss being near Cole. Cute. Let's just say happy to be in your own bed, because that's a great feeling despite how y'all feel about it. You stretched out with a smile on your face, enjoying having the space all to yourself. With those last few thoughts drifting through your mind, it wasn't long before you dozed off to sleep. Tomorrow, life would go on like normal. Now, because I usually finish like 2 of these, I'm taking one step at a time right now. But I did enjoy that one. A road trip that I thought at first, why would I I go that way? But then again, it's like one of those moments when you turn back around, you can do so much more. So apparently, I didn't pay attention just by playing the game that there's a lot of endings, a lot of options. Do not be afraid to explore them all. It's like you just want to do one naturally by yourself. But it's like you fight with your consciousness of what you would do versus you're not going to be able to do this anyway, so just try it in a game. Thing like that. So I'm going to save. Let me put it right. Yeah. Put it right here because I already saved like that. First time breaking the whole tradition after a while. Still like it though. So thank you all for joining me, and I'll get the next one out. I'm not gonna tell you when because I already said it in some shorts. So you all have a great evening, great day, great night, midnight, noon, dusk, dawn, whatever this may be for you all. And I'll see you all next time. See ya!